In the summer of 1462, the most powerful army on earth stopped marching. 150,000 Ottoman soldiers, veterans of the siege of Constantinople, stood at the gates of Wallachia and refused to advance. Not because of walls, not because of a rival army, because of what they saw. 20,000 bodies, men, women, children, impaled on wooden stakes along the road to Târgoviște, a forest of the dead, stretching for miles, rotting under the Romanian sun. Sultan Mehmed the Second, the conqueror who had shattered the Roman Empire, turned his horse around and rode home. One man had done this. His name was Vlad, and Europe would never forget it. Vlad was born in 1431 in Sighișoara, a fortress town in the heart of Transylvania. His father, Vlad II, was a member of the Order of the Dragon, a brotherhood of Christian knights sworn to crusade against the Ottoman Turks. In Romanian, Dracul means dragon, and the son of the dragon was Dracula. It was a title, a birthright, and eventually a curse. Wallachia in the 15th century was not a kingdom. It was a chessboard, squeezed between the Ottoman Empire to the south and the Kingdom of Hungary to the north. Every prince was a pawn, every alliance temporary, every throne soaked in the blood of the last man who sat on it. In 1442, Vlad's father made a desperate gamble. To prove his loyalty to the Sultan, he sent two of his sons, 11-year-old Vlad and his younger brother Radu, as hostages to the Ottoman court. For 6 years, the boys lived in Adrianople. They learned Turkish, mathematics, horsemanship, and war, but the lessons were not equal. Radu, beautiful, compliant, became a favorite of the young Prince Mehmed. Vlad refused to bend. He was beaten, starved, confined, and he watched. He watched how the Ottomans punished traitors with the stake. Then, in 1447, word arrived. His father had been assassinated by the boyars, Wallachia's own nobles. His older brother Mircea had been buried alive. Vlad was 15, alone, and burning with a hatred that would shape a century. For 8 years, Vlad waited. He moved through Moldavia and Hungary, a ghost with a crown he could not yet wear. Then, in 1456, he struck. With Hungarian support, he killed the usurper Vladislav II in single combat and seized the Wallachian throne. He was 25, and his first act as prince was not to build, but to destroy. On Easter Sunday, 1457, Vlad invited every boyar family of Târgoviște to a feast. These were the men who had murdered his father, who had buried his brother. They came in silk and gold. They never left. The old and the weak were impaled on the spot. The rest were marched 50 miles north to build a new fortress with their bare hands, Poenari, his fortress, built on the bones of the men who had betrayed his blood. What followed was a reign unlike any Europe had seen. Vlad did not simply punish criminals. He annihilated the very concept of disobedience. Thieves were impaled. Merchants who cheated on weights, impaled. Boyars who questioned his authority, impaled. Foreign ambassadors who refused to remove their hats in his presence. He had the hats nailed to their skulls. He placed a golden cup in the central square of Târgoviște. Anyone could drink from it. No one dared steal it. The German pamphlets that circulated after 1462 called him Vlad Tepes, Vlad the Impaler. They described him dining among the dying, dipping his bread in their blood. Were these accounts true? Some, perhaps. Others were propaganda. printed by Saxon merchants he had ruined, distributed across Europe on Gutenberg's new press. But the terror was real, and it worked. For 6 years, Wallachia had no crime, no rebellion, no mercy. In 1461, Sultan Mehmed the Second demanded tribute. Vlad refused. Then he did something no one expected. He attacked first. He crossed the Danube in winter and burned Ottoman fortresses along the river. Mehmed assembled the largest army since the fall of Constantinople, 150,000 men, and marched on Wallachia. Vlad had 20,000. On the night of June 17th, 1462, Vlad launched a suicidal cavalry charge into the Ottoman camp. Thousands died in darkness and chaos. Mehmed's own tent was nearly reached. It was brilliant, reckless, legendary. But it was not enough. The Sultan survived. And he had one weapon Vlad could never defeat, Radu, Vlad's own brother, now a Muslim convert. Now leading an Ottoman army into Wallachia with promises of mercy for any boyar who would switch sides. One by one, the boyars turned. The fortress of Poenari, the one they had built with their own hands, was besieged. According to legend, Vlad's wife threw herself from the tower into the Argeș River below, rather than be captured. Vlad escaped through a secret passage. He fled north, to Hungary, to King Matthias Corvinus. But Corvinus did not welcome him as an ally. He imprisoned him. For 14 years, Vlad Dracula rotted in a cell in Visegrad, betrayed not by his enemies, but by his supposed friends. In 1476, he was finally released. He returned to Wallachia one last time. His third reign lasted 2 months. In December 1476 or January 1477, he was killed in battle near Bucharest. His head was sent to Constantinople. The Sultan displayed it on a pike to prove the Impaler was finally dead. History wrote 2 versions of Vlad Dracula. In the West, he became a monster, a madman who killed for pleasure. The German pamphlets became bestsellers. 4 centuries later, Bram Stoker borrowed his name for a vampire and guaranteed his immortality. But in Romania, Vlad is something else entirely. A prince who defended his people against an empire. A ruler who brought order to chaos, no matter the cost. Who was he, truly? A psychopath? A patriot? A man who learned cruelty as a child and wielded it as an adult? Perhaps all of these. Perhaps none. But this much is certain. In a world that wanted him dead from the age of 11, Vlad Dracula refused to disappear. And 500 years later, he still hasn't.